Diabetes is the seventh leading cause of death in the United States, and it affects 25.8 million people that are diagnosed and 7 million people that are left undiagnosed. And it is also the leading cause of kidney failure, heart attack, and stroke. Today I will be talking to you about diabetes and condition in which the body does not properly process the food that's needed for energy. So you can see here, age people from 20 to 44 are diagnosed with, 200,000 people that's aged between 20 to 44 are diagnosed. 45 to 64 are probably between 500 and 600, and 65 and older are between 400,000 and 300,000. Okay. First thing I'd like to talk to you about is the two different types of today I will teach you about the two different types of diabetes, what causes them, and if there are any treatments for this condition. And the first type of diabetes is type 1 diabetes. It is also called an autoimmune disease, and which is your body's immune system that attacks and kills the beta cells. And this type, it does not produce any hormone called the insulin, and that converts food into energy for our everyday lives. And it occurs when the body's own immune system destroys the insulin that produces the cells. And normally the body's immune system kills off the bacteria and viruses, but with type 1 diabetes, it is unknown why the immune system attacks the cells in your body. It typically occurs in in children and younger adults, but it can also occur at any age. And only 5,000 people 5% of people that's diagnosed with this type. Second type is the type 2 diabetes. It is the most common type, and it mostly happens in older people and people that are overweight or have obesity. It is a lifelong disease with high levels of sugars in your blood, and some people can overcome this type by losing weight, eating healthy, but most people with this type will eventually have it for life. According to Healthline.com, the American Diabetes Association, nearly 26 million in the U.S. have diabetes have this type. And unlike type 1 diabetes that makes no insulin, this type, it makes little or not enough, which ruins the body. If this type is not treated correctly, it will cause some serious health problems like high blood sugar, which causes damage to blood vessels, your nerves, your organs, and also causes heart disease. The second point I want to point out is what causes diabetes. For type 1 diabetes, not having enough insulin causes this. It is the hormone that is produced in the pancreas by beta cells, and without this, the blood sugar will not move into the cells. About 90% of beta cells have been destroyed by type 1 diabetes, and this type can be passed down by family members, and some evidence says that even viruses may be responsible for getting this, which shuts down your insulin productions in the pancreas. And the virus that they found is called Coxsackie virus, and it is found mainly in children. And for type 2 diabetes, when the body can no longer produce enough insulin to satisfy for the damage ability to use insulin, not everyone with type 2 diabetes is overweight, but obesity and lack of exercise are the main two causes of this. And according to CDC, this cause is responsible for nearly 95% of diabetes that's diagnosed in the United States. And unlike type 1 diabetes, people with this type produce insulin but in the pancreas, but not enough. or the body is unable to recognize the insulin, and there isn't, but the glucose will not be able to get into the cells, but it will eventually build up in the bloodstream. And when this happens, it causes damage and the cells will not be able to function properly. Right here, type 1 diabetes, since it doesn't have enough insulin, the insulins are the blue thing, won't be able to see it in the pancreas. And this one, the glucose are also called the blood sugar. As you can see, only like little or not enough for any type 2 diabetes. Lastly, I will tell you if there are any treatments. For type 1 diabetes, they said that there aren't any treatments for this, but you can you can manage it by injecting yourself with several insulin every day, or also using an insulin pump. And you also need to monitor your blood sugar, eat healthy, diet with carbohydrates, and exercise like physical activity, running. You also need medical checkups and no smoking. But if you're at risk of low blood sugar, you cannot drink alcohol. And it also goes for type 2 diabetes with the treatments, the medical checkup, and especially because it happens with people that are like overweight or obesity, you need to like some exercise and just physical activities. Today I'll discuss with you the two various types of diabetes, what causes them, and some treatments for it. Diabetes is a very serious condition that should be taken seriously. I hope that what I taught you today will be useful in case something like this happens. Thank you.
All right, Ciarra, I like the attention device. You've got some good statistical information. You identify the topic pretty quickly. There's a reasonable preview. You've got good information in the presentation. You usually give us a source citation on that. Sometimes there were some sections where it felt a little bit too much like we're getting an oral report and less like you had created a speech that was more organic. And I think that that's a stylistic issue that you could probably work on and make it more interesting as a consequence. It would also be helped if the presentation was practiced a little bit more so that those sorts of things were more natural. In the visual elements of the presentation, you have a few gestures, but they often seem limited. When I indicated something about your anxiety level, the primary indicator to me of your anxiety are your hands. They frequently seem to be flipping your hair back, touching your face, doing a few things like that. That seems like where your anxiety is coming out there. So you want to watch for those sorts of things. Your facial expressions, when you look up and you talk to us, you're great. You know, it's like actually having contact with a human being. But when you are reading, you've got you're expressionless, you're looking down, you're not really thinking about talking to people, and you just kind of go, I don't want to say blank, but it's not interactive, it doesn't seem personable. You know, and then when you look back up, it's like, oh yeah, you're people there, and I'm talking to you again. So you want to be a lot more consistent on that. I think that the notes are the biggest problem here because you're relying on the notes so much. You've got so much information that you're looking down for most of the time. Those are the places where it takes you out of the speech. It hurts your eye contact, it hurts your facial expressions, and sometimes it even hurts your vocalization because there are a couple of times when I could tell you're just going down for something and your voice drops out a little bit like that because you're just dropping out as you're turning your head down, and that's a little bit problematic. I think you need to project more during the presentation also. Like I already mentioned, the anxiety issue, it's mostly just the things in the hands. I couldn't tell because of where you were located, and we've got one person sitting right there. Spot. But you looked off balance to me quite often, and I couldn't tell if you had your legs crossed or not, or if it's just that you were, had one foot so far forward or to the side. It just wasn't possible for me to see, but I could tell that you just didn't look quite centered and in control from the waist on up, and that's one of those things that is usually about the positioning of your limbs in the bottom part of your body. Planting your feet, standing up straight, that'll give you a lot more control. All right, thank you.